Hi everyone, welcome back. Now, in some of my previous videos and sessions that I had posted in my channel, a couple of comments that I have been received is one of the student was asking about, do you have a session of extend report and Jenkins? Which is a fair question. That extend report and Jenkins can be integrated together, and it's a kind of a very good framework as such. And another comment that had come in my channel was that there is an outdated way of presentation, and no one would make a video in which there are 2 3 tests and explain how to have a as duplicate code as possible. So both these comments are very important now, and I really appreciate these comments have come from our community, and that's the reason I had to come up with this kind of a complex video as such, which is Selenium Java Maven, and it's a Jenkins integration with extent reporting with page object model using IntelliJ setup. Okay, so it's kind of a mouthful, but it is a very important framework as such, which can really help set up a reusable automation framework. So the integrated development environment I'm using is IntelliJ, and Selenium as an automation test tool, Java as a programming language, TestNg as an automation framework, Maven as a build tool for Java, Jenkins as an automation build tool, GitHub as a source code management, and last but not least, extend reporting for our reporting purposes. Okay, so we will see how this can all be integrated, and we can define a very good framework which will give a Jenkins output in such a way that you will get an extend report out of this whole framework. So for this to understand, what I have done is I have again come up with a step-by-step approach. So first step, we will be looking about installation of IntelliJ in your local machine. Step number two will be verifying Java in our local machine, and if it is not there, we will require to install it, and we will have to set up the system and the environment variables. Then we will look at the step number three, which is verify Maven in your local machine. If it is not there, we will have to install it. Step number four, we will be looking at creating a Maven project from scratch and add the test dependency with that project. Step number five, we'll be looking to add Selenium WebDriver dependency, install and add Chrome WebDriver in our project. Step number six, we will be looking at application under test and 3 test cases that we really want to automate. I'll get a walkthrough of that on how we can really automate these 3 test cases. Step number seven, we will be briefly visiting what is a page object model concept for understanding how we can reuse these steps. Step number eight, we will be capturing the web element properties on the pages according to the page object model concept, and we will create these methods. Step number nine is we will add the test methods and run these test methods to ensure it successfully runs. Step number 10 is where we will add the extend report and the code related to extend reporting. Step number 11, we will run the test. We will look at the positive pass scenarios and the negative fail ones and view these test reports. Step number 12 is where we will configure the Jenkins job. And step number 13 is where we will run the Jenkins job and view the test results and extend report of test automation runs. So this is what we will be trying to achieve the whole video. So let's proceed with our step number one, which is installation of Intellij IDEA in our local machine. So for installation of Intellij IDE in the local machine, what you need to do is you need to click on Google and then look for an Intellij Community Edition. You can search this in your browser, and then you can click on the download IntelliJ, the leading Java and Kotlin IDE. Once you click on the link, the first link that you will be able to see is Intellij IDEA Ultimate, but you do not require to have Ultimate version. What you need to have is the Community Edition, which is free for you, and you can select as download based on your requirement, whether you need a .zip file or .exe file. But .exe file is a better option. You can click on download and this will get automatically downloaded in your default downloads folder. Now once this has got downloaded, what you can do is you can go to your downloads folder and just double click on this .exe file, and once you double click on the .exe file in your downloads folder, you will be able to see something like this, which is Intellij IDEA Community Edition setup. You can click on next, and what it will do is it will select a C drive, which is a default folder in your machine, and it will try to get installed over there. So this is the path. You have to make a note of this path, which is C drive, program files, JetBrains, IntelliJ IDEA Community Edition. Okay, so the version which I have in my machine currently is 2022.3.2. You can select whatever is related to your specific version. It could be 2023 as well, but it will same as what I have in my machine. So I'll just click on next, and then it will give a destination folder where exactly do you require to install it. Click on next, 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 and you will be able to get a successful message that the installation has really happened in your machine. Now, once the installation has happened in your machine, you have got a successful message. You can go into your search bar in your machine and then just search here as IntelliJ, and you will be able to see that the moment you type IntelliJ in your search button, you'll be able to see that something like this is getting opened up, which is IntelliJ IDEA Community Edition 2022. So you can double click or single click on this particular window, and something like this will open up, which is welcome to IDEA, and you can click on create a new project to start with, which will be starting soon, or you can customize and look at the plugins, or click on learn just to learn about IntelliJ. But what I would suggest is we have to create a new project. Okay, so this was my intention, that you at least install IntelliJ IDEA, and something like this window should open up so that you understand, okay, IntelliJ is really set up. Before creating the new project, we have to make sure that our Java and Maven is really set up correctly in our local machine. So those couple of steps we will be doing soon in the next section. So we are done with step number 1, which is installation of IntelliJ IDEA in local machine. Now the second step that we'll really require to do is a prerequisite, which is step number 2, verify Java in local machine, and if required we have to install it, and then setting up the system and the environment variable. Now let's get that done. For verifying whether the Java is really present in a local machine, what we need to do is we need to search a command prompt in our machine. So I'll just click on this search button over here, and I'll just type over here as command prompt. I'll just single click on this, and something which like this will open up, which is a command prompt. Now it will by default go to a path which is C users and then your user, which is specifically in your machine. Now I'll enter a simple command, which is Java hyphen hyphen version in this particular machine, and press enter on my keyboard. Now what I have got here is Java 11.0.19. What it means is Java is really set up in this machine. Now it may happen that you might not have Java in your machine, which might show that it's not able to understand the command of Java. If that is the case, that you have to install Java in your machine and set up the system variables. Okay, I'll explain that step as well. Now what we need to do is we need to search in a browser as Java and download, and press enter on our keyboard, and you will be able to see that there are a couple of links over here. One is Oracle link and another is directly a Java link. You can go on either of the locations and get Java installed in your machine. Okay, it really doesn't matter. Recently or previously, what had happened is Java was acquired by Oracle. That's the reason there are a couple of links over here. Now I'll just click on Oracle link, which is Java downloads, and the moment I do that, you can see that this particular page opens up, which is specific related to Java downloads. Now the Java latest version currently available in the market is Java 21 and Java 17. Okay. Now these might be the stable versions of Java. But what I have done is I have selected something which is JDK 11. Now I just scroll a little bit down and you can see that Java 8 version is also available and Java 11 version is also available. Now it depends on you what you really need to select. Now I have selected Java 11 for the purpose of stability. Java 11 is quite stable, and I'll just click on this Java 11 tab, and then there is an option of Java 11.0.20. Now depends on your OS, which is operating system, whether which operating system do you have in your local machine, and then you can get it installed in your local machine. Now I have Windows currently, which I'm using in this particular video. I'll just go to Windows tab, and then there is a 64 installer. Now I'll just click on this downloads, and the moment I do that, you can understand that this gets downloaded in the default downloads folder in my machine. Okay, so make sure that where exactly is your default downloads folder. Generally it is under C drive into your local machine where it really gets downloaded. Now you can double click it or you can single click it so that it gets downloaded in your local machine as such. Now, once you have downloaded your particular .exe file, you can double click on that particular .exe file and you will be able to see that some window will get appeared and you can get it installed specifically in your machine. Just proceed with particular steps of installation of Java, and then you'll be able to make sure that you understand where exactly the Java has got installed. Now by default, I'll just explain where exactly Java gets installed, and I'll show in my machine as well. I'll go to C drive and then I'll go to program files and I'll go to Java folder, and over here I can see that there is a JDK-11 folder that has got created. Okay, now once it has got created, you can just verify what all folders you have. So you have a bin folder, you have a conf folder, you have a lib folder. Okay, now I had already got this done as soon as my Java got installed and I clicked on that .exe file and my installation got completed. Now the reason I'm requesting you guys to verify that which particular path is for you in your machine, it is important that we set up the environment variable in particular machine. Okay, now this is the path exactly which is C drive, program files, Java, JDK hyphen 11 bin. Now this exact path has to be entered in our system variables, which we'll be doing right now. So what I'll do is I'll search environment variables, and the moment I search environment in this particular section, you'll be able to see that there is an edit system variables control panel. Okay, now I'll just click on it and something like this will open up. As you can see, there is a system properties, and I'll click on environment variables, and the moment I click on environment variables, this particular window opens up. Now this particular window is important for us so that our Java really gets recognized by our Windows file as such. Now Java is a product of Oracle and it used to be earlier within Sun microsystem. Now Windows is a operating system which is different from Sun microsystems or Oracle as such. That's the reason we have to set up this environment variable and system variables so that our machine recognizes Java particularly. Okay, now the important area where the environment variable and the system variable has to set up is, you can see that there is a path over here. Now you need to double click on it and you have to provide the exact path. So you can see over here we had our Java got installed at C drive, program files, Java JDK. Okay, so exactly the path I have given over here, you can see that C program files Java JDK hyphen 11. Okay, I have not given bin over here, but I have just given JDK hyphen 11. Now this is the environment variable I have set it up, and I'll just close it and I'll go to the system variables. Now over system variables, I have set up a Java underscore home. Okay, now I'll just click on this, and as you can see, I have set up a variable name which is Java underscore home and C drive program files Java JDK-11. Now we have to give the path where exactly is our bin folder. Okay, that exact path has to be given. Now I have given in the system variable, and I have provided the path under this, which is environment variable as well. And now I am set up with my Java paths. Okay, so system variable is also done, environment variable is also done. Please note that if you are running Java first time in your machine, this will not have been set up, and that's the reason I'm giving this instruction to the people who are trying this in their machine, that you have to set up both this system variable as well as environment variable, and then come back and run this command of Java hyphen hyphen version. Once you have set up this, you have to come back to command prompt and run this particular command, which is Java hyphen hyphen version. And the moment you do that, you can see that you are getting a response back as some kind of version that you have already set up. Okay, so my PC contains Java 11.0.19. That's the reason it is showing over here as Java 11.01.19. Now you might have installed Java 11.0.20, that will get appeared over. Okay, so this is important in order to proceed for setting up our project as such. All right, now our step number 2 is also done, which was a prerequisite. Now what we have to do is a prerequisite verify Maven whether it's really present in our local machine or not. If it is not present, what we have to do is we have to install it. Okay, and then the setting of the system and the environment variable. Now this is very similar to our step number 2, but it is little different as well. That's why I had to set it up that this is a prerequisite before we proceed. Now what we have to do is similar to what we did in the step number 2. We will go to command prompt. So I'll just search command prompt here, and something like this will open up as a command prompt. Now I have to enter a command over here, which is mvn and hyphen version. Okay, and press enter on my keyboard. Now the moment I press enter on my keyboard, there are some details coming out. Okay, so you can see that there is an Apache version, Apache Maven already present, which is 3.9.1, and there is a Maven home setup. Okay, now it's trying to take some details from this particular area, wherein it's taking it from C drive, users, AU, downloads, Apache Maven 3.9.1 bin, and then Apache Maven 3.9.1 version, and it's giving a Java version as well. So it has already linked, the Maven itself has linked with Java. So we have done some settings of Maven as well in our system and environment variable after the download. That's the reason it is showing okay, the Maven is already present. But if it is not present, and if it's showing that it's not able to recognize it's a mvn command, what we have to do is we have to install mvn. Okay, now there is nothing specifically called as installation of mvn. What we really do is we generally download mvn in a particular location and then set up the system and environment variables. Now let's do that. I'll just minimize this command prompt, and then I'll just go to my browser, and I'll just type here as Maven download. And the moment I press that, you can see that there is a link over here, which is Apache Maven. Okay, now Maven is an Apache product, and I'll just click on download Apache Maven, and you'll be able to come on this particular page, which is Apache. Now you have to specifically download a particular version of Apache. Now there are different links given over here, which is Apache Maven 3.9.1 hyphen bin. Now you can go for .zip file, or you can go for .tr, .gz as well. Now what I have done is I have clicked on this particular double clicked on this particular link, and it has gone downloaded in a particular version or a particular link where default link of the download as such. Okay, now it is important to understand where exactly this has got downloaded. Now if I search over here in my downloads folder, that is the Apache, you can see that there is a versions of different versions of Apache that I have specifically got downloaded, and this has been present in my downloads folder. Okay, that's the reason you could see that this particular, when I had run mvn hyphen version, it was picking up from particular Apache Maven, that is downloads folder. Now once you have got downloaded this particular file, you need to zip it, or you have to unzip these files, and you have to try to retrieve the location, exact location of the Apache Maven. And once you have understood where exactly is your Apache Maven, you have to search for environment again, which we had done in our step number 2. That is, we try to search the edit system variables, that is environment variables, and this particular window opens up. System properties. Now in this system properties, there is a folder, there is a button which is environment variables. I'll just click on that, and you'll be able to see that there are environment variables and the system variables. Okay, now for the environment variables, we have to set up a path. I'll just double click on this path, and you can see that I have specified a particular path over here, which is percentage maven underscore home percentage backslash bin. Okay, you need to specify this particular path exactly as it is appearing over here. Otherwise you will not be able to map the Maven into your local machine. Okay, similar to what we had done in our step number 2, setting up Java as well. Now this is the path. Once you have specified this particular path in the environment variable, you need to specify the system variable. Okay, so system variable, what I have done is, if I go to system variable Maven home, okay, I have created this particular system variable specifically. So I just clicked on new, and I created a variable name, that is Maven underscore home, and provided the variable value. Now what I did is I provided the Maven underscore home as a variable name, and I provided the path exactly where the Apache Maven is present. Okay, now you can see that this is the downloads folder, which where exactly it had got downloaded. So I'm not installing Maven anywhere. Okay, similar, in the step number 2, we had done is we had specifically installed Java, but here we are not installing Maven. We are only mapping a Maven to a particular system variable. Okay, so once you have set up the Maven underscore home and you have provided the path, as you can see that the Maven underscore home variable is exactly similar to what we had specified in the environment variable as well. So if I go to path, I had already specified Maven underscore as a bin. So that is the mapping that I'm doing in my environment variable and the system variable. Okay. Once you have set up this, what you need to do is you need to go back to your command prompt and run your mvn-version. And what you will be able to get is Apache Maven 3.9.1. That means your Maven is also set up in your machine. So we are done with our step number 2 as well, step number 3 as well, which is verify Maven and then setting up the system environment. So we installed Intellij, and then we have set up Java as well in our machine. We have set up Maven also in our machine. Now let's proceed with step number 4. All right. Now let's create a Maven project and add the TestNg dependency. So what I'll do is I'll open up Intellij, and I'll just click on new project. And the moment I click on new project, this particular window will open up. Okay, now it's prompting me to enter a particular project name. So here I might enter any project name that I would like to have. So I'll specifically select here as Selenium TestNg and then extend report. Okay, now extend as such. Now this is my project name, and the language I'll select as Java over here, and the build system will be IntelliJ, or it can be the build system will be Maven. And over here by default for me it's showing as the 11 version over here. Okay, and if you are not able to see the 11 version over here, that is JDK, what you can do is you can click on add JDK. So you can click on this button, you can go to the Java exactly where you have installed Java. So it will be probably under program files and Java folder as such, and then you can select this JDK, that is -11. Okay, the moment you do that, you will be able to see something like this appearing, which means that your IntelliJ has linked with your Java, that is Java development kit. Okay, now I'll just click on create. And the moment I do that, you can see that this particular project has got created, which we had named as Selenium TestNg extend. Okay. Now by default, a folder has got created, that is source, and then there is a main, then there is a Java, then there is a org.example, and then there is a main. Okay. And there is a pom.xml file as well. Now this has appeared because I have specifically selected Maven as a type of project that I really wanted. Now under this pom.xml file, I will have to add the dependencies of the testng. Okay. Now that is what we wanted to do in our step number 4. So what I'll do is I'll just search in my browser as testng Maven repository, and once I select that, the first link that I'll get is Maven repository. I'll just click on that, and over here there is a testng repository specifically for Maven. Okay. Now what I can do is I can pick and select some of the stable versions of testng. Now I can select 7.71. I just click on that, and the moment I click on that, you can able to see that there is a um, dependency HTML tags over here. Okay, I'll just select that and copy and come back to my IntelliJ, and over here a particular tag is missing, so I'll add that tag, which is dependencies. I'll select that, and inside this particular dependencies I'll just add the tag of testng. Okay, now I have pasted the testng dependency over here, and then the moment I do that, you can see that this particular version is appearing as red, that is 7.7.1. Okay, now the reason being, this particular dependency has not got added in our project, and you can see over here as a Maven, and I'll just click on the load Maven changes, and the moment I do that, you can there see that the sync has happened. Okay, now the sync was performed and it is success. You can see a green tick over here, which means that testng dependency is got added in our project. Okay, so that concludes our step number 4 that we really wanted to perform, that is create a Maven project and add a testng dependency. So this step number 4 is also done. Now we will look at step number 5. Now we wanted to specifically add Selenium WebDriver dependency, okay, and install and add Chrome WebDriver in the project. So what it means is we will have to go back to our Maven repository, the same link, Maven repository. Now here, what I can really do is I can search here as Selenium and then click on search. Okay. The moment I do that, you can see that I'm given certain options over here, which is Selenium Java, Selenium Server. Now I'll select a Selenium Java, and then I'll select a version which is stable. Now here I can see the stable version as 4.11.0, and I'll just click on that and I'll select this particular Maven dependency. I'll just copy this and come back to IntelliJ and then add the dependency just down below to testng dependency. It really doesn't matter whether I have pasted down below the testng or above testng dependency. It will anyways take all the dependencies at one shot. So now I have pasted this particular dependency which is of Selenium, and you can see that the red version is coming. Now I'll just click on this particular M, that is load Maven changes, and the moment I do that, you can see that the downloading dependencies are happening in this particular IntelliJ version, and it is taking a little bit of time, but it has taken around 9 seconds of time and then it has synced up. Okay, so that means the Selenium also has got added in our project. Okay, so what it means is we are done with our step number 5, which is add Selenium WebDriver dependency. Now we have to add specifically a Chrome WebDriver in the project. Okay, what it means is for our application under test, we need a browser to test, right? Now, what I have done is I have particularly selected Google Chrome as our browser that we have to test our application. What it means is that Selenium specifically requires a Chrome driver. Okay. Now, what I'll do is I'll just search over here as Google Chrome driver for Selenium, and I'll just press enter. Okay, now what it means is there is a web driver for Chrome downloads button. Okay, now this is a link and I'll just click on that, and these give the current releases of the Chrome driver that we have, which are currently in the market, which are the stable version, and it gives an idea about the current releases as well as what are the versions currently which are stable. And what it's showing is that if you are using Chrome version 115 or newer, please consult the Chrome driver, Chrome for testing availability dashboard. So I'll just open up my new tab, and you will be able to see that there are different versions available. Okay, there are stable versions available here as well. Now, the important parameter that before we download and start using the Chrome driver is that what version of test we are really performing. Okay, now I'll just click on here and then go to more tools, or click on help and click on the Google Chrome version. Okay, now the one version that I'm specifically using over here is 116 version, as you can see right now, and it's getting updated as well. Now you can stop updating your Chrome with a particular folder and stop the auto upgrade. Now, if you don't want to stop, that is also possible. If you want the Chrome to get updated and then you really wanted the version of Google Chrome and the driver to be synced up, we can use that as well. Now we have 116 currently in our machine. What it means is that we will require to have 116 version present or driver present in our machine. Okay, I'm just searching for 116. Now prior to 116, what used to happen is this particular link, that is Chrome driver Chromium, used to give all the details of the previous versions like 114, 113, 112, 111. Now as you can see, beyond 115 the links have changed, and they have given some links over here as well, the Chrome for testing availability dashboard. So you can click on here and you will land on this particular page. Okay, so what it means is there is a version, stable version 117 appearing over here, and apart from that there is another link provided as well. Now this page provides convenient JSON endpoints for specific Chrome driver version downloading. Now I have opened up over here and you can see that if I open up this particular link, you can see that this is the links where exactly your Chrome driver might be present. Now I'll just do a Control F in my browser and then search for 116, and you can see that exactly where our 116 version Chrome driver is present. Okay, so I am using a Windows machine. Now this is a platform line Linux, and I can see that this particular version is of Linux. Then there is a Mac version and there is a Windows 3 version. Okay, so I'll just copy this particular link and then copy and come to my another browser and just paste it over here. The moment I do that, you can see that there is a download happening. Okay, so it's getting downloaded in my downloads folder. What it means is the Chrome driver is getting downloaded. Okay, now let us wait for that get downloaded, and after that we will repoint it to our project as such. All right, so the download has been got completed. So I'll just click on this particular button and you can see that there is a Chrome Win32, and once I click on that you can see that there is a Chrome version over here. What it means is Chrome has got installed. Okay, now we didn't want Chrome, but what we wanted is a Chrome driver. So I'll just close this and I'll go back to this particular link, and as you can see there is a platform which is a Chrome. Now I'll specifically look for Chrome driver as such, which you can see in this particular link. Okay, now I will look for something like this, which is platform Win64, that is 64-bit, which is Windows, and this is a particular link which has been provided, that is 116 Win64 Chrome driver Win64.zip. Okay, Now I'll select this particular link and then paste in my browser. Okay, similar to what we have done for Chrome. Now Chrome is not required. What I really wanted is Chrome driver. So I'll just press enter on my keyboard and another download I started, which is of Chrome driver. Once I click on that, you can see that there is a Chrome driver that has got downloaded in the machine. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to specifically copy this Chrome driver into our project so that the Chrome driver really gets mapped to our project as such. Okay. What I'll do is I'll create a folder over here. So under the test, I'll create a folder which is a directory, right? And over here, I'll select this as a resource. And once the resource has been selected, I will create driver. So I'll just right click and then I'll create a directory over here as drivers and press enter on my machine. Okay. Now what I need to do is I need to copy this particular Chrome driver and go to this particular project and place it over here. Okay. Now where exactly is my project? My project is in the C drive, it's in the users, is AU, and then IDEA projects and Selenium TestNg extend. So I'll go to this location, and once I reach this location, I'll just go to source, then test, and then resources, and then drivers, and then paste the driver over here. And the moment I do that, you can see if I minimize this, you can see that the Chrome driver has got pasted over here, which means that our project has got this Chrome driver. Okay. So what it means is that our step number 5 is also done. That is, we were able to add Selenium WebDriver dependency, and we were able to install and add the Chrome driver, Chrome WebDriver in the project as well. So we are done with the step number 5. Now what we will try to do is add couple of tests in the application under test and run these tests in the command line. Okay, that's what we will try to do next. Now we have an application under test, that is online shoe portal. This is a sample application which is available online and a live application as such. I'll provide the link for this particular application under test. This is a very simple application used for test purposes. And what I wanted to explain specifically for a couple of tests that we wanted to add for demonstration purposes is that once this browser is launched, that is the application is launched, what will really happen is a user should be able to click on this particular hamburger menu, and once the user is clicked on the hamburger menu, this particular left widget should open up. There are some links present over here, that is home, sign in portal, online products. So user will be able to click on online products, and the moment the user able to click on online products without logging in, the user will be able to see these three options, that is formal shoes as well as sports shoes as well as sneakers. These titles should be present, that is the text should be present on the web application, and there should be a drop down button over here. Once the user clicks on the drop down button which is just below the formal shoes, what should really happen is that the first shoe name which appears over here should be Classic Cheltenham. Okay, so this is a brand of formal shoes, and our validation is that this shoe name should be Classic Cheltenham. So this is just a regression test case that we want to add or want to perform an automation script so that we'll be able to test this again and again when the deployment really happens. Okay, now this is one test. Apart from that, the second test is that if the user clicks on the sports shoes, just drop down just below the sports shoes, the first shoe name should appear as ultimate. Okay, so this is a type of sport shoes, and this shoe name should be ultimate. Okay, so these are the two tests, a simple test that we have to automate. And if you notice, both the tests have similar some of the similar user actions. That is, the user has to click on the hamburger menu, they have to click on the online products as such, and then they will land on this page. And the first test should take care that if you click on this particular button, you should be able to validate the Cheltenham, classic Cheltenham, as a first shoe name. And the second test is about sports shoes. Okay, so if the user clicks on this drop down, the first shoe name which appears for the sports shoes should be ultimate. So this again is a simple test. Now these are the two tests that we have to perform, and we will try to automate next with this particular validation that we want to perform. So let's proceed. All right, now we will capture the web elements from our application so that we can perform the click operations and all that operation using our automation scripts. Now, I wanted to give a quick understanding of a page object model concept because we might have to do some kind of reusability in some of the tests that we are going to perform. Like for example, this we need to capture as a common step, that is launching the browser, and then we need to click on the operation of hamburger menu, clicking on the hamburger menu, and then selecting the online products. That is also a common operation that we need to perform. So some of the reusability we can really do, and that's where the page object model concept really comes in. The whole idea of the page object model concept is that it's a better approach to script maintenance. It's to create a separate class file which would find the web elements, fill them, or verify them. This class can be reused in all the scripts using that element. In the future, if there is a change in the web element, we need to make the changes in just one class file and not 10 different scripts. This approach is called as page object model, and it helps in the code reusability, readability, maintainability. Now in our particular scenario, we will be using page object model concept as well, and let's do that. For this, what we have to do is we have to create different classes for different pages as such. Now this happens to be our home page. So what I will do is I'll go back to our project and I'll right click on this particular folder, which is Java. I'll just right click and then I'll add a package here, and this package name I'll just put it as pages, and in this pages we will create these classes. Okay, so I'll just right click again and I'll select as new and I'll select as Java class, and over here I'll just name this as home page. So what it means is I have created a home page class as such. Okay, now we have to create objects. Now how the objects will be created is based on what all web elements do you really require to perform an operation on. So this is one of web element, which is a hamburger menu, and what we have to do is we have to select the properties of this web element, and it has to be unique property so that the Selenium script understands that there is a hamburger menu over here, and we have to capture the properties of that web element and capture it in our home page. So let's do that. Now we will create a couple of variables. Now I'll just name these as public, static, and let these variables be string as of now. And this we will have to capture the XPath or particular web element property. Okay, now how do we do that is I'll go back to this application, and I need to capture the web element for this particular hamburger menu. So what I will do is, and this is a shortcut method to capture the web element properties, you can go to dev tools, you can press F12 on your keyboard, and this particular dev tools appears. Now there is a particular button over here which is inspect element. You can click on this button and then you can just hover on top of this particular element, which is hamburger menu. Okay, now the moment you hover on top of this, you can see that the elements keeps on changing over here. Okay, which is kind of a mechanism that we are trying to find this element in the document object model. Now I'll just click on this particular element. Okay, the moment I do that, you can see that the element has got stuck over here, and this is an input tag, that is type equal to checkbox. Okay, that's all it has been given. Now what I will do is I'll just right click on this web element and I'll just go to copy, and there are different options that I can really select to understand this web element property. So what I can do is I can copy the XPath as such, and XPath is one of the mechanism where we can get the property of the web element. So I'll just go back here, and over here what I'll do is I'll just type a variable name, and this happens to be a hamburger menu. So I'll just write it as hamburger underscore menu, and then underscore XPath. Okay. Now I'll just add the XPath and see how complex is my XPath, whether it's a full XPath or it's a simple XPath. So I'll just paste it over here, and it seems to be a simple XPath as such. So our element has been captured. Okay, so hamburger menu has been captured as such. We have to perform a click operation on this. Okay, we'll do that. But before that, I will go back to this particular web application, and I'll just click on this, and I'll just right click on the online products. Now, the moment I do this right click, you can see that there are one more option to inspect the element or element property as such. You can click on inspect, or you can see that the element has been already selected over here. So this is the list, and it's online products as such. So I'll just right click over here. I'll just copy the XPath and come back to my IntelliJ, and I'll enter the um, properties over here. So public static string, and then it can be online products, and this is a link. So I'll just add underscore link and underscore XPath equal to, in double quotes, we have to provide the XPath element as. So I'll just end the statement, and I'll just convert this into a string. So both our elements are captured. Now what I have to do is I have to add a couple of methods which actually perform the operations on this. Okay, so I'll just add a method. I will just mention public static void click underscore hamburger, and then I'll open and close the bracket of the method as such, and I'll just add the driver dot find element. Now if you notice that we have not added any browser driver as such, because we are yet to do that. So I will not add driver currently, but I'll add the methods which require to perform these operations. Okay, so I'll just keep it over here like this, an empty method and another empty method, public static void. It has to be click underscore order products, and it happens to be a link. Just add link here. All right, so a couple of methods have been added. Now, this is the concept of page object model. Okay. Uh, Apart from that, home page, what we require really is once we click on the online products as such, there is a new page which has come, which is online products. Okay. Now we have to capture the elements of this ones. And for this, what we have to do, because it's a new page and we want a separation of the classes as such, I'll come back to this pages folder which we had created, and I'll create one more class which is Java class, and I will just add here as products page. Okay, and press enter on my keyboard, and the class is created. Now the good thing about this is that the class has been created. Now we need to capture the elements on this particular product uh, page as such. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to, one of the validation that we had to perform is whether your formal shoes, sports shoes, and the sneakers, the titles are present on this page or not. Okay, that's one of the validation. Now for that we have to capture the web elements of this particular titles as such. So what I'll do is I'll do inspect and click on the formal shoes, and this happens to be header. So as you can see, it is having a tag of h2. So what I'll do is I'll just right click and then copy and copy the XPath and come here and then create these elements. Okay, so I'll just add here as public static string, and then I'll add as formal use title and XPath equal to the double quotes. I'll just paste it over here, and you can see that this has been added as a XPath. Okay, similar to this, we will add the sports shoes and sneakers as well. All right, now we have captured the XPath of these all three titles. Now what we will do is we have to get the text out of this. Okay, so we have got the XPath of it, but really what happens is the text inside this is what we really wanted. Now we will create the methods for this as well, and keep it ready. Keep these empty methods. So formal shoes get title, that will be our method. Then we'll open and close the bracket, just keep it open. Public static void formal shoes underscore get title. Now similar to that, we will create other methods as well. All right, so we have created the empty methods for getting the titles as well. Now apart from that, in our test, what we have to specifically do is we have to click on these drop downs, okay, just below these titles as well. So we'll capture the drop downs just under these titles as well, and we will name it as well. So we'll go to developer tools, and then we'll go to inspect element, and then click on this, and you'll be able to see if I hover on top of this, that is FA angle double down. So you can see over there, this is an element, and this particular element is a angle double down and formal shoes drop down. Okay, so this is important one. I'll just right click and then copy the XPath and come back to the application, the project as such, and then I'll enter these properties over here as well. Okay, so public static string sports shoes drop down underscore XPath equal to double quotes, and we'll give the XPath over here. Similarly, we will capture the web elements for this particular drop down as well. So I just select that. I'll change the name of this particular element because this is a formal shoes. I'll just write it as formal shoes, and over here I'll write it as sport shoes. Now that I have captured all three drop downs as well, all three titles and all three drop downs, now I'll create the empty methods for these drop downs as well, which we need to perform a click operation. So I'll just name those and keep it ready. All right, so we have captured all three um, methods over here. So these methods perform a click operation, but we are not performing the click yet. We'll just keep these methods handy as of now. All right. Now, once we click on this drop down, what really happens is this particular table opens up. Okay. So we might have to capture this as well, because we have to perform an assertion that and we have to validate that this particular shoe name is classic Cheltenham or not. So what I'll do is I'll put this inspect element and just do an inspect of this whole table as such. So let me click on this, and you can see that there is this whole table is there. Okay, so if I hover on top of this particular class, which is a table, the whole table gets captured. Okay, and how the table HTML is defined is there will be a t head as one of the tag elements. So if I just click on this t head, and there is a tr. Okay, now the first tr is a row, and under that there is a body. Okay, so this, if I hover on top of this head is the first, is the heading row which is present. So you can see that the shoe name, shoe color available, size available, price, description, all that is getting highlighted over here. So that is the element. But if I go to the body, you can see that the whole body is getting selected over here. Okay, so what we really wanted is we wanted to get this classic Cheltenham, which is the first row of this body. Okay, I'll just explain it. So I'll just go to this body, and you can see when I am hovering on top of this tr is the first row. Okay, now there is different trs over here. Now if I hover on top of this first tr, as you can see, this classic Cheltenham row is getting highlighted. Okay, now over here, if I go down below, this is what we really wanted. Okay, this TD. Now TD is the first column of the first row. Okay, now if I go down below, you can see is the second column of the first row. Okay, so what we really want is the first row and the first column of this T body. Okay, so it is important that we capture the T body first, and after that we have T body properties first, and after that we have to drill down to the first row and the first column value, so that we can really verify that this is a classic Cheltenham or not. Okay, that's what we really want to do. Now let's capture the web element or web element property of the T body first. After that we will go to the toward capturing the element property of the T first row and first column. So what we will do is we will right click on this T body and then go to copy, and then we will copy the XPath. Okay, and after we have copied that, we can come here and write our element, which is public static string and then table or T body as such, that is table body, and this table body is of formal shoes. Okay, that is very important. So it's not of sports shoes or sneaker. The reason I'm saying to you is I can go back to the application and explain this. There are three tables altogether in this web application. Now if you click on this is the first table that comes up, this is a second table which comes up, and the third table. Okay, so there are three tables, and when the Selenium scripts are running, we don't want the Selenium to identify this as our table, because what we really want the Selenium scripts is the first test at least has to go to the first T body, and then it has to capture the first row and first column. So if we go back here, I'll just name this as formal shoes underscore T table body, and I'll enter the XPath over here. Okay, so I'll enter the XPath here, and the XPath has been entered. Now what we really wanted is the first row and the first column of this particular T body. Okay, now how we can really get this is we can determine this as TR, that is the first row, and the first row generally starts with 0. Okay, it starts kind of an array, and then TD0. Okay, now we'll capture this particular XPath and keep it ready. And what we can rename this is formal shoes, and this is shoe name, that is the first shoe name. So I'll just write it as first shoe name. Okay, so this is our first shoe name, and this first shoe name is supposed to be classic Cheltenham. This is what our test says. Okay, and apart from that, I'll create an empty method as well. So public static void, and then get title is the, so we have named our method as formal shoes underscore first shoe name get title. Okay, now apart from that, our second validation was that if you click on this drop down of the sports shoes, you'll be able to get this particular shoe name, and this shoe name has to be ultimate. Okay, so what I will do is I'll just click on this particular table, and then I'll get the body of this particular table. I'll just copy and copy the XPath, go back, and similar fashion I'll enter the details of the second table as such. Public static string sports shoes score first equal to, and over here I'll just pass on the details of the T body, and then I'll give the TR, that is the first row with array of 0, and then TD, which is first column as such, and I'll just capture this element, that is XPath, and then I'll come back and then create this method, right? So public static void sports get title, just keep it ready, and then save this particular method as well. Now apart from that, let's revisit and see. We wanted to do the validation for the titles as well as the table. So we have captured all the elements now, and looks good from perspective of test validation. And this is where our page object model concept comes into picture. We have created a couple of pages which will be kind of reusable for our test as well. Both the test In fact, we are kind of doing three tests over here. One test is to validate that our title is good or not. So these titles are really appearing or not. And the second test is that we are validating whether the formal shoes, this particular classic Cheltenham is the first name, and the sport shoes, that is probably we can consider as the third test, wherein this shoe name should be ultimate. So let's create this test, and let's set up the browser as well, whether it's really getting launched or not. Let's try to figure that out in subsequently. Okay, so in order to launch our browser, what we will have to write a particular before test annotation, and let's do that now. If we look at this particular project folders, we have already created this folder which is pages. Okay, now let's create one more folder under Java, and let's right click over here, select test. After that, let's select on package, and this one we will name this as tests. And after that, I'll just right click and then create a Java class over here, and I'll just name this as Selenium test, and then press enter on my. The moment I do that, you can see that the class has got created, which is Selenium test. Okay, now this is a class. Now what we really want is to add some kind of test annotations, and because we already have TestNg in our project, what we can directly do is we can press at the rate, and you can see that there are some annotations of TestNg already appearing over here. And what I will do is I'll enter here as before test. Okay, now the moment I enter before test, you can see that the annotation has been imported from the file. Okay, and it gives an indication that these are the files associated with testng annotations. That is, you can have a lot of classes getting imported from this particular library. So our job of adding the before test is done, but we will have to define that. So we will have to define a particular method in before test, so that we understand, okay, this is getting performed before the test actually happens. So before the test really happens, what we will have to do is launch a browser, right? Without opening up the browser, none of the test will really happen. So that's the reason we will have to add this annotation. Now after the annotation is added, we have not added the method. Okay, so let's add the method. So I'll just add a method public static and then void, and I'll just name this as setup, so that it's kind of understood that this is a setup that you have to perform before the test really starts. Okay, now we have to define a driver. So we have not defined the web driver yet. So what I'll do is I'll just write over here as driver equal to new Chrome driver, and you can see that when I'm typing Chrome driver, it is kind of prompting me as an IntelliSense that there is something called as selenium.chrome library in your project, which we had already added, and it's trying to give me sense that okay, you can probably select this one, which is a correct method. So I'll just get that added, and our driver is defined. Okay, now why this error is coming is because we have to define a web driver as such. So let's define that in our class. Let's define as a public static and then web driver equal to driver. Okay, now when I selected WebDriver over here, you can see that Selenium has WebDriver already, so it has imported from there, and even the Chrome driver is imported from there. So our definition of the driver really required Selenium libraries as such, which we had already defined previously. So that step had already been done. Now, apart from that, what we have to do is we have to define a method which is driver dot get. So when I am entering get, you can see that there is an IntelliSense coming that you have to pass on a URL in this particular method. Okay, so I'll add the get method, and it has to pass on the application under test that we have to launch. So we will define our of the application under test, and once this particular step is run, you can see that the browser will actually run. Now after this, what we'll do is we will add one test as well. Now I'm just writing one test annotation, and over here I will add a particular method which is void test steps, and this is an empty method as of now, but we will add a test later on. Okay, the test that we were talking about, we will get it added. The moment I added a method, you can see that there is a green button over here, which makes that IntelliJ has understood, okay, this is a test that we are trying to conduct. And once I created this method, you can see that there is a green button over here as well. So it has picked up that there is a test, and there you can see a double arrow over here or a double play button. So what it shows is, okay, there is a run test as well. So I will just click on this run test, and over here I can select as run Selenium test as such. I want to verify whether I can really launch the browser or not. Okay, that is what I wanted to really do. And the moment I do that, you can see that the browser has got launched. It has got automatically launched, and there is a small message that is coming in, that is Chrome is being controlled by automated test software, which means that it's not humanly launched application, but it is being run by the automation test as such. Okay, so our browser is getting launched, which is a good news, but what we have not added here is the test steps. Okay, the actual test steps have not been added, and we have not added anything related to the pages. So we just have captured the page elements as such, but we are not performing any operations on that. Okay, but let's do that so that our driver can really launch the browser and really perform the click on this hamburger menu, for example, and then move on with the online products as such. Okay, let's do that step by step so that it doesn't get confusing. So I'll just close this browser, and after that I'll come to the home page. Okay, so I'm already in the home page, and after this home page is there, what I really need to do is I need to provide this driver details. Okay, and the moment I type here, it is giving me an intelligence that you can probably import static constant, which is test.selenium test.driver, which is coming from this particular class, which is Selenium test. So I'll add that, and then the moment I add that, you can see that there is a import statement that has come on top of this. Okay, now there is, the moment I press dot, that is driver dot, I'm getting a lot of options over here which I can define my web elements. Okay, so this is where the Selenium WebDriver comes into picture. Now I have to find the element first within my DOM, that is document object model, and over here I need to pass on my string. String will be the hamburger menu. Okay, now I'll pass on the double quotes, and over here I can find the element, and by here I'll just pass on by dot xpath, because we have captured certain elements using xpath, so we have to define what exactly the xpath. Okay, now you can see that it's giving an indication inside the by dot xpath, it is expecting a string. Okay, and we have already defined the string as a variable over here, so we will pass that variable over here. Okay, now I'll just pass here as hamburger menu xpath, and then I'll try to perform a click operation on this. Okay, so our method has been fulfilled. What we have really done is we are finding this element, that is hamburger menu, and then we are performing a click operation. Similar to this, let's do this for the online products so that we are at least clear that online products is also getting performed. That is a click operation on the online link as such. So driver dot find element, and then by dot xpath, and within this we will pass on the online products link xpath, and then after that we will perform a click operation on this, and I'll end my statement. Now what it means is we have entered the details inside our method, but we have not defined this method inside our test. Okay, so let's do that. If I go back to Selenium test, what I really need to do is within the void test steps, right? Now we can define that this is a test that we wanted to perform, that is validate titles online products, so that it's little bit understanding, or whoever looks at the code, they will be able to understand, okay, what really is going on there. You are able to perform this validation of titles, okay, validation of titles of the online shoe products as such. So if I define here as home page, now I just typed home and it gives me kind of an intelligence. There are some pages appearing over here. So I'll just select this and move on, and what we are performing is a click hamburger menu. So I'll just select that. So what it will really do is on the home page, it will click on the hamburger menu, and then home page dot click online products link. Okay. So I can go back to this home page and you can see that my click hamburger menu has turned with a different color. And if you would have observed previously, this was appearing as gray, as if no usage has happened of this method. But once I entered my details and I'm using the method over here, it has appeared over here as one usage. Okay, so this method is getting used as one usage, and order products link also is getting one usage. Now I'll come back to Selenium test. So what I'll do is I'll rerun my test, and this time around, apart from uh, launching the browser, what it is supposed to do is it's supposed to click on the hamburger menu, and it's supposed to click on the order products as such. Okay, so I'll just click and run. It has launched, and uh, it has tried to perform a test. Okay, it has failed, but it has launched the browser, which is good. It could do something, but as you can see, it has failed somewhere while clicking on the online products. Now how I come to know is because this widget has left widget has opened up. Okay, which is a good thing. So we at least our launch browser could happen, we could click on the hamburger menu, but probably it has failed in the online products. Let's see why it has failed. So I'll just close the browser again, and what it is showing is element not interactable exception. Okay, now element is not getting interacted, that is what it's showing. And what I will probably do is I'll go back here and I'll add a thread of thread.sleep for 2 seconds, and let's see whether this is really works or not. And the sleep is coming from a library, so let's add an exception related to that, and let's test it out. And some of my students have been saying, okay, thread is not a good way or mechanism to add delays, due to which it might create some problems. I agree with them. It's kind of a hard way, but the purpose of this whole video is to make Selenium test running and use it for the extent as well as Jenkins. So that's the reason I am just moving on with the sleep as such, thread.sleep, so that at least our test runs and then we can add some extent reporting as well. So let me rerun this. Let me click on this run button. Let's wait for the browser to get launched. Browser has launched. It has clicked on hamburger menu and it has clicked on the online shoe portal, online product link as such. And you can see that we have landed on the formal shoes, sport shoes, and the sneakers page as such. So it has taken around 2 seconds of time, 2 seconds and 939 milliseconds. Okay, I'll close this. Whatever we have designed until now, it works, which is good. Let's continue to add our test so that it is kind of fulfilled from our testing perspective. Now we have come to our home page. Methods are working, that is we are able to click on the hamburger menu and the online products. Let's come to products page. Now in the products page, the first test that we really wanted to perform was that our title is working or not. Okay, exactly matching. Okay, so let me come here and let me define my driver. And the moment I do driver here, now this is a new page of products and it has not imported, so I'll just give an indication. Okay, let's import it. And driver dot find element, so we have to do find element, and I'll just extend it to xpath. And over here, exactly we will have to provide the formal shoes XPath. Okay, so I'll just provide that one. And after we are finding it, what we really have to do is we have to get the text. Okay, now when I look for a method after find element, there is a get text. So I just typed here as G and it has given me these all combinations, but I'll get for get text. Okay, now once I end my statement, what I really have to do, this get text is a string. Okay, and I need to pass this into a string. So this is actual title. Okay, and I'll just give this as equal to, so that my text really gets stored into get text into actual title. And this actual title is supposed to be um, exactly equal to formal shoes. Okay, that is what we really want. If we notice, and if we come here and look for our developer tools, I'll just put it over here. And so once the actual title comes, what we have to do is we have to verify whether the actual title really meets with the expected title. Okay, so I'll create one more method just for simplification perspective, which is static void, which is formal shoes. Now we can slightly change this method name to verify title. Okay, so get title we could do. Now we will slightly change it to verify title. And over here I'll add assert. Now assert is a mechanism where we can compare the actual values as well as the expected values, so that our test. Now I press assert ASS, and you can see that there is a testng library over here, and I'll just add that and assert. The moment I add it, you can see that there is a statement that have come on top, which is testng.assert. Now what I will try to do is I'll try to perform an assert equals. So over here in assert equals, we have to pass on the expected title and actual title. Now expected title we have not defined it yet, and what is the expected title is supposed to be equal to formal shoes, and this statement. After that, what we are going to do is we are going to do this expected title and actual title for formal shoes, sports shoes, sneakers as well. So I'll change this slightly to FS, that is formal shoes, and then actual title as FS as well. We have to use it for sports shoes as well. That's the reason I am kind of slightly changing these variables. Okay, now we have already defined for this for the formal shoes, we will be able to verify the formal shoes as well. Now sports shoes, now let's look at the sports shoes as such. Now similar to this, we can copy and paste it for the sports shoes and the sneakers as well. Let's get that done. All right, now we have added for sports shoes as well as sneakers, and we have given the expected title as well as actual titles respectively for those methods as well. Now we have defined all these methods. We have not defined these in our test. Okay, so there are no usages as such. Let's define it in our test. So let's go to Selenium test, and after that, what we have to do is we have to look for the page which is products page dot, and there is verify title that we have to look for the formal shoes. After that, we have to add for sports shoes. Let's change it to verify title. Come back to Selenium test, and over here we will define this as sport shoes verify title products page dot sneakers verify title. Okay, so our test is done. First test that we really wanted to perform. And once I go back to products page, you can see that there is one usage each. So I'll come back to Selenium test and I'll rerun my test. Okay, so this is the actual test that I wanted to perform. This is the first test, which is verify titles, that is online products as such. So I'll just run this and it has passed. Okay, so it could verify our test as well, which is verify the title. So first test is done. Now as what we have to do is we have to verify the second test, wherein we have to look for a formal shoes and then we have to look for classic Cheltenham as the first shoe. So let's do that. Let me add a test annotation. Alright, so I have defined a validate first formal shoes. Now what we are going to do is the reusability. That is the first formal shoes. If we have to define, we have to launch the browser again, but the launching of the browser is already done in our before test. Okay, so we will not again and again write about launching the browser, it is already getting done, but we have to reuse about hamburger menu clicking as well as the order products linking link clicking as well. So let's do that, uh, or otherwise what we can do is before test itself we can get this particular two steps, which is home page dot click hamburger menu. We can move this into before test. Okay, because uh, because what really happens is that both all three tests will perform this, that is the home page clicking on the hamburger menu as such and then verifying. All this is getting validated and we need to kind of uh, we can kind of remove this kind of redundancies. Okay, so I'll just remove this and then what will really happen is before the test, so validate the first formal shoes. Before the test, the browser will get launched, and after that let's click on the hamburger menu and then click on the order products, and then after that we have to click on the drop down. Okay, so so if what I meant by that, we have to click on this particular button. Okay, so let's identify that. Let's go to products page and then formal shoes drop down click, we had already created a method. Now over here we can look at this particular XPath which we had already captured, that is formal shoes drop down XPath. Now I'll just come here and then formal shoes drop down XPath we had already selected. First I'll have to define now driver dot find element by dot XPath quotes, and then over here drop down XPath, and then we have to perform a click on that. Okay, and and after clicking we have to verify. Okay, verify, let's verify. How do we verify? Is this particular formal shoes first name? Okay, so let's define that driver dot by XPath. Now we will have to perform a get text and store it in a string. So I'll just pass that actual first and providing the assert as well. Alright, so we have defined our expected first formal shoe equal to classic Cheltenham, and then we have defined our assert equal to first name as well. Now this was supposed to be defined in the formal shoes, so I'll just move it over here into the formal shoes. So we can rename the formal shoes drop down click to formal shoes first shoes verification verify, and similar to this we can rename our other methods of the sport shoes as well. So we are able to do that in our a single method itself. So I can remove this formal shoes get title as such because we are already doing it in our formal shoes first shoe verification itself. Okay. Now let's define it for the sport shoes as well as sneakers. Let's define it for the sport shoes so that our second test, third test can also be defined. Alright, so we have defined the sports shoes first shoe verify as well. So let's come back to Selenium test. And over here, we have to add the details about our verification. So products page dot formal shoes, first shoe verify. Okay, so this is good enough. This will make sure our test is getting validated. We have added our asserts as well. I'll come back to Selenium test, and over here I'll add my third test, which is validate first sports shoe, and then products sports shoe verify. All right, now our tests are also defined. I'll just rerun and verify whether our tests are really working or not. So online product is still working. If I go here and then run first formal shoes, this is our second test. So it has validated. It has come to the formal shoes. It has opened the drop down, but something has failed. So let's see what really has failed. So no such element. So unable to locate the elements as such, which is HTML body. Now we will have to change this particular array from 0 to 1 because it starts with 1 as such and not as in like an array. So I'll just replace this one with 1 and 1, that is the first row and the first column. And I'll just replace this one as well as first row and first column for sport shoes. Okay, so I'll come back to Selenium test, and then I'll just rerun the validate first formal shoes. So I'll just click over here and then run, and what will happen is it will open up a browser. It will click on online products. It has opened up the drop down and it has validated that the classic Cheltenham has really matched. Okay, so first one run and one pass as well, and let's validate the first sport shoes as well. Okay, so I'll just click on this run button and run it. The browser has started. It has clicked on online uh, product and it has clicked on this drop down as well as the sport shoes, and it has validated that it is really ultimate, and it has passed within 145 microseconds. Okay, it looks good. Now what it means is our tests are ready. It works perfectly fine. We will use the extent reporting now to validate at what points really those tests are really running. Okay, that's what we want to perform in the next section. All right, now we'll look at the extent reports and what are the advantages of the extent report as such. These are customizable HTML report with stepwise and pie chart representation. Now, somebody who is not well versed with the technicalities of how Selenium works as such, the non-technical people would like to see the reporting of how the test has really worked. It displays the time taken for the test case execution within the report. So this is very important, like how much time it has really taken for the test case execution. Each test step can be associated with a screenshot. Okay, so this is also important to understand when the test execution really runs. Sometimes what happens is your Selenium test scripts are scheduled in such a way that it might be running at 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning. As a result, the report which gets generated at that particular time is important to know why it has passed or failed, and these screenshots are captured so that you can go back and really see what has happened. Okay, multiple test case runs within a single test suite can easily be tracked, and apart from this, extend report can easily integrate with TestNg and JUnit frameworks as such. So there are a lot of advantages of extend reports, and we will see the practical approach as well, how to set up this with our framework that we have created now. So let's go back to our project as such, and after this what we have to do is, because our three tests are running perfectly fine and we have run that as well with Selenium test as our the whole suite, and it contains three test cases. Okay, now in order to add extend report, what we have to do is we have to go for something like we have to search for Maven dependency. So what I can do is Maven repository, and then I can just search as extent here, extent report, and then press enter on my keyboard. The moment I do that, you can see that there are different extent reports. Okay, now the extent report that we are after is this event stack. So event stack supports this extent reports. I'll just click on this, and then I'll land on this particular page which looks for the extent report as such, and I'll look for some stable version, so something which got deployed on August 6th currently. So I'll just select as 5.1.0, and I'll just copy this as a dependency of Maven and come back to my project. And here I'll go to the POM file. Okay, so we had added the dependencies of TestNg as well as Selenium earlier. What we'll do is we'll add the dependency of event stack as well, which is extend reports. Okay, now the moment I do that, you can see that there is a load Maven changes which is appearing over here. I'll just click on that, which is on the top right corner, and I'll just wait for this resolving of dependency for the extend report so that this error gets resolved. All right, now the dependency has got installed, and after we have got confirmation, okay, extend report has got added in our dependencies, I can go back to my Selenium test. Okay, now the first thing what I will require to do is to define about the extend reports. Okay, now we will have to define where exactly our extend report has to get stored, or the path of the directory where the report should get stored as such. Now it is important to know which version of extend report you are using. Now we had specifically installed the version of 5.1.0, and 5.1.0 has its own documentation. So if we go into Google and just search as extend report 5.1.0 documentation, you'll probably land on this page, which is extendreports.com. Okay, now this particular link takes care of the documentation related to extend reports which are related to the latest version. Okay, depends on which version you are really using. Now if you see that there are different versions that is really present in this particular, can go to extendreports.com, and over here there is a lot of documentation related to extend report and depends on which version you are using. Okay, now what you can really do, once you go to extendreports.com, you can click on the docs, and over here, because we are using version 5, which is the current latest version of extend reports, you can just hover on top of this version 5 and you can see there are different technologies over here. Because we are using Java, I will just click on Java, and over here once I scroll down, I can see different ways to use this particular extend reports. Okay, now I'll just scroll down. We have already done that. We have already added the dependency, and the version number is also done, which is 5.1.0. And apart from that, what we have to do is we can come to this section of usage and understand how this is getting used altogether. Now it is using an extend reports extend equal to extend reports. So this we have to declare a variable which is extend, and apart from that we have to declare a variable which is test and the reports as well. Let's do that. And apart from that, if I scroll down a little bit, it can show how to really use the report as such. Okay, how to use a reporter as such. So looking at this documentation, now I'll go back to the project, and over here I'll declare three variables. Now one is static extend reports, and then I'll just declare a report, and after that I'll just declare another variable which is static extend test, and then test as well. And apart from that, I'll declare one more variable which is static extend reports, and then extend equal to, I'll declare here itself which is extend reports. Okay, so I have declared three variables. Now one is report, and second is the test, and the third is an extend. Okay, now once we have done that, what we can do is we can come to the before at the rate before annotation, and over here we can declare extend spark reporter. Okay, so if you scroll down, you'll be able to see extend spark reporter. So once I have chosen that, I can declare one more variable, which is spark equal to new extend spark reporter. Now this is a space, exactly the path where your this particular report will get saved. Okay, I'll select here as target / spark dot html. Okay, and I'll end the statement. Now once I write this particular statement, what will really happen is this will create an attachment of the reporter as such. Okay, now that is what we want. We want to generate a report, and after that we have to verify whether the report looks good or not as per our standards or not. Okay, that's what we really want. Now as a result, I have declared, because I declared test over here, what I can do is the first test that we really do is the validate titles online products, and I'll just come here and I'll just type here as test, and I can put here test equal to, and I'll just write here as report, and the test is coming from this extend test and the report is coming from extend reports. Okay, now once we declare report over here, you can see there are different methods appearing here. There is a choice that we can really select. Now the one which I'll select here just for demonstration purposes is create test. So I'll just type here as create test. So it is starting the test as such. Okay, now over here is the name and description. So there are couple of variables that it's accepting, or arguments it's accepting. So I'll just select this one, and the first argument that it's trying to accept is the name. Okay, now the name is validate titles, that is shoe titles on products page. So this is a name which can be kind of simple, and the description can be more descriptive. So the second argument that I'll pass on is that kind of a description. This test validates that the different shoe types are this validate the different shoe types are correct on online products page. Okay, so this is kind of a description. Now I'll end this statement over here in the end so that my statements is correct, and this creates a test. So the test has been created for a report. Now apart from that, what we really want to do is we want to attach the reporter. Okay, now I'll come to this particular line number 24 and I'll add here as extend dot attach reporter, and I'll just add here as spark. Okay, now what it gives an indication is it needs to generate a particular report as such. Now one important point is that we have to do a report.flush or extend.flush, otherwise the report will not get generated. So what I have to do is extend.flush is something that I'll add it in my test method as such. All right. Now this is a very simple test, but the purpose of this showing is that it's possible to generate an extend report. And what I'll do is I'll just come to this suite. So I'll select here as a Selenium test, and what it will do is it will run 3 of the test, because this is a test suite and it contains 3 of the test. But I have added the test, that is the extend report as such, only in the first test. I have not added in the second and the third test, and I just want to give an example that the report is getting generated. That's why I want to kind of demonstrate it. So what I will do is I'll just click on run Selenium test. Now the tests are running, so you can see that the browser has launched, it has clicked, and one of the tests has failed. Now the reason it has failed is because if I click on the failure, it has got null pointer exception. Okay, so why the null pointer exception has really come is because report has not been declared, and directly we have not initialized report as such. We have used report to create test. Now please note, this is kind of a pitfall that might happen as well. You have to replace report with extent. Now extent is what we are using, and extent is given to spark. Now extent reporter, extent dot attach reporter also has happened, which is we are providing the details of the spark, and what we have to do is we have to replace this report with extent. Okay, so extent also has create test and report also has create test, but please note that we have to use extent dot create test, not the report as such. And once we have done that, because this is specifically for extent report 5.1.0, this is the reason we have to provide the Spark details as per the documentation of extent reports. Okay, now we will rerun this test. I'll just click on this Selenium test suite, and then run this Selenium test. And I'll wait for the browser to get launched. Browser had got launched, and then it's clicking on the hamburger menu. It has clicked on online shoe portal, and it has validated the first test, second test, and the third test. So you can see that the validate titles is getting verified while validate first formal shoes is getting validated, and validate first sports shoes as well. So if I minimize this, and you can notice there is a spark.html that has got created inside our project. Okay, now where is this spark.html got created? Now we had provided a path over here under extend spark reporter, and this is the target / spark.html. So it has auto calculated that there is a target folder inside our project, and it has generated this particular HTML file. Now what I will do is I'll just right click, and then I'll go to open in, and then I'll go to browser, and then Chrome. Now, and once I do that, you can see that the report has got generated. Now we try to run this at a particular time. So it has given us an indication it's a pass, and then there is a start time, there is an end time, and how much time it's really taken. And if you remember, this is the title or the name of the test that we had given. Okay, the validate shoe titles on the product page. This test validates that the different shoe types are correct on the online products page. So this was the kind of an indication that this test has really run. Now let's do one thing. Let's add inside a different test as well this particular details. Like for the second test, we can add it as just copy from above and then come down below, and this verify validate first formal shoes. So I have added, so I did added the details of the second test as well as the third test. Now I did an extend flush over here, okay, at the rate test. Now, if you notice that if we try to run this particular test again, this will not pick up the second and the third test, because we have to perform the extend test after test or after suite. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll change this to before suite, and then I'll add one more annotation, which is after suite. And what of this after suite will do, it will do the cleanup. Okay, so I'll just enter over here as extent dot flush, and then I'll rerun my test suite. I'll just play plus run button. My browser has started, clicked on online portal, and all the tests have run. Okay, so I'll just minimize it. I'll go back to my spark.html. I'll just right click, go to open in, go to browser, and then select Chrome, and you can see that there are three tests that has been conducted. Okay, now these three tests are totally different. So validate shoe titles was something as a first test. Validate first formal shoe was our second test, and validate sports shoe name is our third test. Okay. All right. Now, if you go to this particular link, which is a bar graph, now over here you can see that it gives an indication at what time this has started and what time it has ended, and it gives how many tests have really passed, and it gives an indication of 3 tests which has passed, 0 tests failed, 0 skipped, 0 others as well. Now it gives an indication about the reports, like when the tests have really passed and really failed. I really started, really ended, and how many test cases have really passed. Okay, now this is a very good reporting mechanism. Now we have only captured the tests as such, but we have not captured the test steps. So let's get that added as well. So let me close these browsers and then go back to my project. And over here now, if you think through, what we have really done is we are verifying the formal shoes verify title, sport shoes verify title, and sneakers verify title as well. Now here is an assert example. Okay, now apart from this asserts that we are doing, that is a Selenium is doing its own asserts, what we really can do is we can add some test steps over here so that our report is detailed out the test steps. I'll give an emphasis on this. Now what I can do is I can add an if statement, and with the if statement what we are really doing is we are verifying the expected titles, that is the formal shoes is meeting the actual titles. Okay, now if expected titles equal to actual titles. Okay, now I'll open up brackets. Now I have put an if condition. Now if this both matches expected title of the formal shoes as well as the actual, then what we have to do is test dot log. So the moment I press test, you can see that all the extent test is coming. Now if you're not able to see the extent test, okay, and it's you are able to see some kind of error like this, test is not public or something like that, what you can do is you can come and then add a statement over here, import static test dot selenium test dot star. Okay, so what it means is it will import all the variables which are present in Selenium test as such. So I'll just scroll down and then add a log over here, and over here I'll just type here status pass and then comma. So test.log status.pass and then test passed for title verification. And because I'll just hover on top of this test and then I'll come to Selenium test and I'll just make this as public. All right, now test passed for title verification of formal shoes. So what exactly we are doing here is that we are providing some test step. Okay, so if I go back to Selenium test, for the first test case, we are verifying the formal shoes. Okay, so first test case we have already got in our report, but we are trying to get the test step, that is a formal shoes has got verified. Okay, now I will just rerun this and I'll just show the report. So the report has got generated, and then Spark, if I go and open in browser, and it has opened up this particular um, report which shows that 3 tests has passed. Now you can see that there is a chart as well which has appeared, and it gives the details about so that the report which gets generated is very beautiful, and it's easily perceivable as well to non-technical people, that there are 3 tests which has passed and at what time it has really started, what time it has really ended, and you can get an indication that what is the exact time it has run. Now again reiterating, it is important to understand that once the report runs or the test automation runs early in the morning, if it has run at late night, and if it has run at as kind of a shakeout test which is as part of a deployment, it is important to understand exactly at what time it has run and what it has run, the test it has run as such. So this is how the extent report gets generated. Now, I will try to explain how to add the test steps and reflecting in the report as well. Some of my students were saying even though you added this test.log and then test passed, this was not appear in the report. Okay. Now, there is a condition in if what you have to specifically provide here is you have to provide the details as if it's really equal. Okay, now I can change this syntax slightly, and I can remove this one, and I just mention dot equals. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to match the expected title with actual title as an object. So I'll just remove this and just add inside this equals. Okay, and then I will rerun this test and then see whether my report is getting generated with the test step. So if you notice, I have added the test step over here, which is the formal shoes exactly is matching on my online product page as such. Okay, so I'll just run this and my browser has opened. It's looking for the hamburger menu. It clicked on online shoe portal and my report has got completed. Okay, all right. Now I come back and go to spark.html, open in, go to browser, look for the Chrome. Now this particular report has opened up, okay, which is a local report. Now I click on the validate shoe titles, and the moment I click on the validate shoe title, you have seen that a test step has got it added. Okay, the test passed for the title verification. Now because I changed this equal to and then I'm using this object, that's the reason my test step is appearing. Now what I will do is at the various steps I'll add this test steps so that it's more evident that particular test case has having lot of test steps, and that is also getting appeared over here. So I'll do that now. All right, so I have added the steps at different test cases as such, and I'll just rerun this test suite again. We'll wait for the browser to get opened up. So the browser has opened, it has clicked on the hamburger menu, it has clicked on online shoe portal, and it has given a result that it's passed. What I will do is I'll go to the spark.html, right click, and then open in and look for the browser, and then click on Chrome. And once the report gets opened up, I can go to the first test, and the first test is giving the details about the test passed for the title verification of sneakers, the title verification of formal shoes, and title verification of the sports shoes. So whatever we wanted to do on the products page, the first test was consisting all these steps. It is showing exactly what it is supposed to show, that is all three test steps have passed. In the second test, which is a formal shoe test name, um, shoe name, what we are looking at is a test pass for the first shoe name of the formal shoe, that is classic Cheltenham. And if I go to sports shoes, it is showing test pass for the first shoe name for the sports shoe, that is ultimate, which is good. Okay, now if I go to the bar graph, um, you can see that the whole structure is appearing, and the good thing about this whole bar graph and the pie chart is that if I expand this, you can see that the three tests have passed and then five events have passed. What five events really mean is that these are the test steps. Okay, so the first test had three tests, the second test has one test, and third test has four tests, has one more test. So total there are five tests and three test cases as such. So it is easy to verify what exactly how many test steps are there, how many test cases are there. Now some of my students say, hey, you are running pass every time and none of the test case have really failed. Okay, so how does it really appear in case of failure? Now for this I will have to do a fail safe. Okay, so it's not a actual fail, but what I will do is I'll change the expected uh, name slightly different so that it doesn't match, and then my students will be able to see that the result is appearing as fail. Okay, so this is just for demonstration purpose, just giving again that all the test cases are passing. I'm just demonstrating what really happens when it fails so that the report appears little bit red in the pie chart as well. That's what some of my students also requested. That's why I'm changing the expected title. Okay, so I'm just adding a space over here in the formal shoes and I'm rerunning this. Okay, so that I'm purposefully failing it and how the result looks like in the report. So I'm running the test suite and the browser has opened up. It's looking for online shoe portal and it has completed the test. Okay, so I'll just close this browser, and as you can see, one of the test has failed. Now it was expecting formal shoes has it was expecting with a space, but what has really happened is it has given without the space. And now if I go to spark.html, which is my report, I'll just go to open in, I'll go to the browser, I'll click on the Chrome button. I can see that the all tests have again passed. Okay, so the report has shown the past results, but it has not shown the failed results. Now why this has happened, I'll explain that as well. One of the tests has failed, but it failed to capture because what it really happened is it came until this, that is line number 30, and after that it found that it is false, and then it went beyond that and it did not update the result. So it was taking the previous result that it has passed. So it is important that we put an else case here as well. So if this doesn't happen, then we have to enter else if expected is equal to this one, else we have to go for test dot this whole line. I'll just copy and then paste it over here, and then I'll make this as fail. Okay, so this is an important step. So if you have a pass step, you have to make sure that you have a fail step as well, so that it gets captured in the report. Okay, so test failed for the title verification of formal shoes. Now I will rerun this. The test is running, it's clicked in, and the test has failed. Okay, now I'll go to the spark.html. I'll just go to open in browser, then click on Chrome. So moment I open up this particular report, you can see that the first test, which has validate shoe titles on the product page, it is appearing as fail, and the timestamp as well, it is getting captured at what point this has failed as well. So this is how we generally get the report. If something has failed, you will get a fail report over here and the fail step as well, and at that moment you will be able to understand. So this is a very good mechanism of the reporting. It will give you an idea whether all the test case has passed or failed. And you can imagine if there are number of test cases, there are huge number of test cases like 25 35 test cases. It is very important to get that particular signal, as in which test case out of the 25 or 35 has really failed. So apart from that, you can click on this particular button as well, the bar graph thing, and once you come here, you'll be able to see that two test case have passed and one test case has failed, and out of that, four test steps have passed, which is an indication, okay, the four test steps have passed and one test step has failed. So this is also a good mechanism to do that. So this is how we capture the report. Apart from that, one good thing mechanism of extend report is about screenshots. So let's see about the screenshots as well through extend report, how we can capture the screenshot. And what I try to do is, as you can see over here, if it's a fail, it tries to capture the screenshot something like this base 64 image, which is not great at the moment. And in the extend report, the images doesn't get captured properly when the failure really happens. And if you go and to try to go do some Google search, you'll be able to understand the extent report itself has a mechanism to capture some screenshots. If you go into the documentation as well, now you can go into specific screenshot area, and you can see that there is a mechanism to capture this screenshot. But I still feel as personally that this is not that stable, and once you go into the forums of internet as well, you can see a lot of students or a lot of testers actually look for this kind of mechanism to capture the screenshot, which works sometimes, which does not work most of the times. But if that is a thing, what you can do is you can create your own method, which I will explain it soon, that you will be able to create a method which capture the screenshot at that moment, and then you will get an idea, okay, this is during each run this particular screenshots are captured specifically. So let's do that in upcoming sections. Now for screenshots, what I have specifically done is I have created a method. Now this is not specifically with relation to extend report, but what I have really done is I have created a method over here, and I will explain this method. So this method is called as capture, and this is written by me. It's kind of a customized report as such, which is capture, and then it captures a web driver. So it captures the whole web page as such, And what I have done is I have created a um, file type which is source file, and it takes the screenshot and the screenshot of the driver dot get screenshot as an output dot file. Okay, now it this is a source file, so it takes a screenshot, and there is a destination that I have a variable that I have created, and this will be a new file as such. And what it will try to do, it will create exec images as such, which will create images in this particular folder. Okay, now this file utils dot copy file, so this will copy the source file, that is a screenshot that is taken, into the destination. And what we have to do is we have to capture wherever screenshots that we really require. So that's the simple method that I had created inside my project, which is capture web driver. And apart from that, what I have done is if I go to products page where exactly our test is running. Okay, so until now I had created if expected title equals actual title, and then test.log. Okay, so during this test.log status pass, what it's doing is it is capturing the screenshot. Okay, so what I've done is I'm calling a method called add screen capture from path, and I'm calling this particular method and passing the driver details. Okay, so test equal to passed, I'll just mention here. And this is the only way, this is the mechanism where we can capture the screenshot as such. Okay, now what I will do is I'll go back to Selenium test, and as you can see, this does not have any annotation as such. This is a separate method altogether which captures the driver screenshot. And now I'll just run this particular test and see whether the screenshot gets captured or not. So I've made a run for the test suite, and the browser has opened. It's clicking on the online products as such, and the formal shoes as such, and then that all three tests has passed. Now when I've run, if you notice, a new folder has got created. Okay, so I'll just click on this, and I'll open up the first screenshot, which is formal shoes. Okay, so what it's doing is it is capturing the formal shoes title itself. It has, and the second one, it has clicked on the drop down menu and then validated whether the classic Cheltenham is really there or not. So all this gets captured over here. And if I go to products page, what I had really done is that I had captured for the title of the formal shoes, and I had captured it for the sports shoes as well. So this is s- for the other test as well. So that's the reason we are able to get screenshots over here. Okay, so this is how we can capture the screenshot. I have not specifically used extend reports screenshot because I was facing issues with 5.1.0. There is a mechanism you can try to capture screenshots as well with extend reports. uh, and this is another mechanism that you can really capture the screenshots and keep it handy when the run really happens. Now, one good thing is we have created our project. Our project is working, it's running as well, and our reports are also getting created. So, which is a good thing. Now, what we will try to do is we will try to push this particular code into GitHub. Okay, so you need to have a GitHub account where you can really push this particular project from your local machine into GitHub. And I'll just particularly show how this can be done from IntelliJ. So what you can do is you can go to version control, and you can click on this version control in the bottom left corner. Okay, Now there is a way, create git repository or version control integration, or you can click on the VCS. So on the top menu bar. Now VCS is a version control system, and you can go to share project on GitHub. You can click on that button, and the moment you do that, it gives an idea. Okay, fine, you have to provide a repository name, and then you can enter your username and password specifically for your GitHub account, and then you can click on share. Okay, the moment you do that, what really happens is it's getting pushed to GitHub. So I'll just click on add, and I'll just click on add button, and it gives an indication to pushing GitHub master. So what it's really doing is, I had a GitHub account and I am pushing this particular repository into GitHub. Okay, now I'll share the GitHub account as well once it has been linked, so that we can use it in Jenkins pipeline. Alright, once it has been pushed into GitHub master, you'll be able to get a successful message. So it is showing a successfully shared project on GitHub. Okay, after that, you need to have Jenkins running in your machine. So what I'll do is, now hopefully Jenkins you have already installed, and Jenkins instance is running in your local machine, which is local 8080. Now what I'll do is, I'll probably give the username password, and once you are able to log in, you'll be able to see that there is a dashboard, and there is these sections, which is new item, people, build history. Now you need to have admin rights specifically for creating jobs and Jenkins jobs as such, and configuring Jenkins jobs. So what I will do is, I'll click on new item, and over here I'll just pass on the details as Selenium test extent report, and then I'll click on freestyle projects. I'll click on OK. Now over here, if I scroll down, you will have to pass on the source code management. Now because we have already pushed our code into GitHub, what I'll do is, I'll select Git, and I'll provide my GitHub URL. You can enter the credential details and give the details about the branch to build. You can provide the details of master, and then you have to go and search for a build step, which is execute shell, execute Windows batch command. And over here you have to pass the Windows batch command. Now the command is mvn test, but having said that, you have to provide the details to Jenkins, that where exactly is your Maven in your local machine. Okay, now for that you will have to set the Maven path, and if you remember, we had already spoken about a Maven underscore home path, which we had defined in this particular local machine, and that path was this, which we had already seen, wherein C users and the downloads and the Apache Maven path. And apart from that, we have to provide the path exactly where is the bin folder of the Maven. Okay, so set path equal to C drive, and then the path exactly where our bin folder is. So I'll just pass on that detail which is present here, and then we will do the mvn clean test. Okay, now I'll just click on apply so that it gets saved, and then I'll click on save, and I'll come back and then perform a build now, and I'll go to the first build that is getting run. As I can go to console output, you can see the mvn test is running. So what it's doing is, it's pulling the data from our GitHub account, and it's running the jar files. And you can see that the three tests have run, and the three tests have passed. The build has been success equal to 0. So our test is running fine. I can go to Jenkins and the build run, and I have got my build success. Okay, now One good thing is that because our build has been success, we were able to see that the full log is present, and exactly if we scroll down, the whole test has run successfully. Now we can we can look at the report also, which gets generated at the Spark report. I can go here in the configure of the Jenkins job. I can go for add post build action, and I can go to publish HTML reports. Now please note, if you are not able to see public HTML reports, that's one of the Jenkins plugin. Okay, and I'll explain how to get this plugin as well. So publish HTML report and click on add, and the HTML publish HTML reports, under that HTML directory to archive. So you have to provide where exactly your HTML report will be present. So our folder where exactly the HTML report will be present is the target, and you can provide the index pages as such. So you can provide spark.html and then click on apply and save it. Okay. Now after that you can click on build now, and the build will get started. So the build has started, and you can go into the console output and then verify your Maven test is working fine or not. Let's wait for the Maven test to get completed. So there is a build success that has happened. So you can go back and you can click on number 8, and after that you can click on the HTML report over here. So this particular HTML report will give you a kind of an understanding that this is the report that has got created. Apart from that, what you can really do is you can click on this zip file, and the moment you do that, you can see that it's got downloaded over here, and it's getting downloaded, it's getting scanned. And once it has been downloaded, there will be a folder that has got created over here. Now you can click on this, and there is a Spark HTML file which has got created. Okay, you can double click on this, and you can see that the test has already run. Now you can click on the validate shoe titles over here, and you can see that even the screenshots have been captured. Okay, so the screenshot that we wanted to capture, that is formal shoes, that has also got captured, and the classic Cheltenham formal shoes, that also screenshots have been captured. And you will be able to see that even the test details are captured here. That is, the test step details is also captured here. So that is how you integrate with the extent reports along with the Jenkins job. Now the Jenkins job, you can schedule it, you can auto schedule it in such a way that it runs automatically at one particular time of the day. Now there are good advantages of Jenkins job. Now there is a build triggers. So this is something that you can configure to automatically trigger from a CI/CD pipeline, or you can click on the build periodically. Okay, so this schedule is a cron job schedule. Now you can search for something like Jenkins cron job schedule, and if you want to schedule it every day, you can kind of customize this. Like this can be used for every day at 1 a.m. in the morning, but if you want specifically at the 8 a.m. In the morning, and then you really want to capture it before you start of the business, you can just put this particular schedule, which is the cron job as such. Now the moment I enter a schedule over here, you can see that spread load evenly by using H. Okay, so rather than 0, you have been advised to put H over here, and you can see that it would start at 8 a.m. in the morning, and then it will continue the next day as such. Unless you remove this checkbox, it will build periodically every day in at 8 o'clock in the morning. So that is a good advantages of Jenkins job, as which you can configure and integrate it with a CI/CD pipeline, and then use it further for your enhancement of the test automation integration of the CI/CD pipeline. So that is how we create, and I hope you like this video. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel as well. And happy coding, happy automation testing. Thank you.